The baby screamed before Eliza could catch her breath. It came sharp and wet, filling the room like an alarm she could not shut off. She reached with shaking hands, fingers slick, heart racing, and her voice broke as she whispered for quiet. She was on the floor, back against the bed frame, dress bunched at her waist, blood dark against the boards. Her legs trembled. The baby screamed again, louder, raw, relentless. "Hold him," she said to no one, her voice thin and cracking. She tried to lift him. Her arms buckled. Pain tore through her middle and she gasped. "I can't," she whispered. "My hands." The baby screamed harder, face red, body stiff. "Don't," she begged him, tears streaking her face. "Don't let him cry. They'll hear." The house answered with silence. Thick walls. High ceilings. The kind built to keep things in and people out. Old portraits lined the far wall, men with stiff collars and women with tight mouths, all watching. Eliza felt them looking down, judging, waiting. She had scrubbed their floors for years. She had learned how to move without sound. Tonight the house refused to help her. She pulled the baby close, pressing him against her chest. His skin was warm and slick. He smelled new and sharp. She rocked back and forth, slow at first, then faster, whispering nonsense words, promises she did not know how to keep. Her breath came uneven. Her teeth chattered. "Please," she murmured. "Please be quiet." The baby's cry faltered, then rose again. Eliza clenched her jaw. She looked toward the door. The hook beside it held a sheriff's badge. Polished. Heavy. It had hung there for years whenever the governor stayed the night. It never moved. It never helped. It only watched. "They won't come," she whispered to the badge. "They never do." She shifted, dragging herself closer to the wall. Pain burned through her hips. She bit her lip until she tasted blood. The baby cried and cried. She pressed her forehead to his, tears dropping onto his cheek. "Your daddy would know what to do," she said softly. "He always did." She did not say his name. Names carried weight. Names got people hunted. They had called him an outlaw. They had said he stole, that he threatened, that he burned things down. Eliza had watched them drag him through town. She had watched the sheriff look away. She had watched the governor's wife close her curtains. "He ain't bad," Eliza whispered to the baby. "They just didn't like him." The baby gasped, then cried again. Eliza's arms shook harder. Her vision blurred. She rocked and hummed, a tune her mother once sang while washing clothes by the well. The memory hurt more than the birth. Her mother's face came and went, soft and tired, then gone for good. "Stay with me," Eliza told the baby. "Just stay." The house creaked. A pipe knocked somewhere deep inside the walls. Eliza froze. The baby cried. She covered his mouth gently, then pulled her hand away, horrified at herself. "I'm sorry," she whispered fast. "I'm sorry." She held him tighter, rocking again. Sweat ran down her back. Her legs went numb. She told the baby stories she made up as she spoke. About a man who came back. About a place that did not own them. About a future where doors stayed open. Footsteps sounded outside. Eliza stiffened. Not fast. Not angry. Slow and steady. Not the sheriff's boots. Not a posse. She held her breath. The baby let out a soft, broken wail. "No," she whispered. "Please." The steps stopped at the door. Silence pressed in. Eliza stared at the handle. Her heart slammed against her ribs. The portrait seemed to lean closer. The handle turned. The door opened the rest of the way and Eliza did not scream. she already knew. The baby gave one last sharp cry, then went quiet as if the sound had been taken from him. A man stood in the doorway, framed by the dark hall behind him. Dust clung to his coat. His face was leaner than she remembered. A thin scar cut across his cheek. His eyes were steady. Too steady for a dead man. "You shouldn't be here," Eliza said, her voice low and shaking. He looked at her, then at the baby in her arms. He did not step closer. "Neither should you," he said. The words sat between them. Heavy. Familiar. Eliza swallowed. Her arms ached. Blood pooled beneath her, cooling fast. "They said you were buried," she said. He gave a small nod. "They said a lot." The baby shifted. A weak sound left his mouth. The man's shoulders tightened. "Is that mine?" he asked. Eliza did not answer right away. She watched his hands. They stayed open. Empty. His gun hung at his side, untouched. He looked afraid to move. "Yes," she said. He let out a breath through his nose. Slow. Careful. Like he was standing near fire. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. The house swallowed the sound. He took off his hat and set it on the table. He did not come closer. He knelt instead, lowering himself to Eliza's level without being asked. "They heard you," he said. "I handled it," she replied. He nodded again. He always did that. Like he trusted her words even when they scared him. "They'll come," Eliza said. "When they hear." Who? Anyone who still listens to them. His jaw tightened. "They won't touch him." "They will," she said. "They take what they want." He glanced at the hook by the door. The badge gleamed faintly. "The same badge," he said. "The same man," Eliza replied. Silence pressed down. The baby whimpered. Eliza rocked him gently. The man watched every move, his eyes soft and sharp all at once. "They framed me," he said. "You know that." "I know." "They burned my name." "I know." "They told the town I was a monster." Eliza looked up at him. "You were kind." His mouth twitched. Not quite a smile. That didn't matter. He reached into his coat slowly, watching her face the whole time. Eliza tensed, then relaxed when he pulled out folded papers. He dropped them on the table. "Orders," he said. "False charges. Signed by people who sleep in this house." Eliza laughed once. Bitter. "They always sleep fine." The baby cried again, softer this time. Eliza pressed him close. Her breathing hitched. "They'll take him," she said. "Over my body," the man said at the same time. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Old. Unfinished. He stood and unbuckled his gun belt. The leather creaked. Eliza's pulse jumped. "What are you doing?" she asked. He laid the gun on the table, next to the papers. Metal against wood. Final. "I won't bring that into this," he said. "Not with him here." Eliza stared at the gun. Then at him. Her throat burned. "You came back," she said. "I did." "Why now?" He looked at the baby again. His voice dropped. "I heard him." "You heard what?" He cried. Eliza blinked. Tears spilled without warning. The baby's cries slowed. His body relaxed. His mouth searched, then settled. Silence filled the room. Real silence this time. The man stepped closer. One step. Then another. He stopped within arm's reach and crouched again. "Can I?" he started, then stopped. Eliza shifted the baby slightly. Her arms shook but held. "Just look," she said. He leaned in. His face softened in a way she had never seen before. His eyes shone. He did not touch. "He's small," he said. "He's strong," Eliza replied. The man nodded. "He's ours." Footsteps sounded outside again. Louder this time. Closer. The man rose smoothly and turned toward the door. His hands were empty. His back straight. Eliza whispered, "Jonah." He glanced over his shoulder. "I'm not leaving." The knocking began. Knocking did not stop. It softened instead, polite and sure, like the house itself. Jonah did not reach for the gun. Eliza pulled the baby tighter and pushed herself upright, teeth clenched, breath shaking. The door opened before anyone answered. The governor's wife stepped inside as if she had never left. Her dress was clean. Her eyes went first to the floor, then to Jonah, then to the child. "You're not welcome," she said. "I was never invited," Jonah replied. She looked at Eliza last. "What have you done?" Eliza said nothing. She rocked the baby. His mouth worked softly. Milk stained her blouse. Blood still marked the boards. "This house has rules," the woman said. "You know them." "I know who keeps them," Eliza said. The woman smiled thinly. "Who speaks? Who cleans? Who disappears?" Jonah stepped half a pace forward. "You don't decide that." "I already have." She nodded toward the baby. "That does not stay." Eliza's arms locked. "He does." "For his own good," the woman said. "For yours," Eliza answered. The woman's face tightened. "You forget your place." Eliza looked up. "I was born knowing it." Boots sounded behind the woman. The sheriff filled the doorway, hat low, badge bright. He took in the scene slowly, like a man counting cards. "Well," he said. "This got complicated." Jonah met his eyes. He did not move. "You're supposed to be dead," the sheriff said. "Scenes that didn't take," Jonah replied. The sheriff chuckled once. "You always were hard to finish." His gaze dropped to the gun on the table. "That yours?" "It was," Jonah said. "Smart leaving it there." The baby whimpered. Eliza hushed him with her cheek. The governor's wife folded her hands. "We can fix this." "No," Eliza said. "You can't." The sheriff tilted his head. "You should listen." "I listened my whole life," Eliza said. "It nearly killed me." Silence thickened. The house creaked. The portraits watched. The sheriff stepped closer, stopping just short of Jonah. "That child creates problems." "He creates truth," Jonah said. The sheriff smiled without warmth. "Truth bends." Eliza said, "Not anymore." The sheriff's eyes flicked to her, then back to Jonah. His voice lowered. "You got a week before this turns ugly." Jonah nodded. "It already is." The sheriff turned away. The governor's wife followed, heels sharp against the floor. At the door she paused. "You don't belong here," she said to Eliza. Eliza did not look up. "Neither do you." The door closed. The sound lingered. Jonah exhaled. Eliza sagged, shaking. The baby slept. Eliza stayed on the floor long after they left. Jonah knelt beside her, close enough to help, careful not to crowd. She breathed through the pain, slow and stubborn. The house felt smaller now, corners listening. The badge still hung by the door. It did not shine anymore. Jonah watched it like an enemy that might move. Eliza shifted and winced. He reached out, then stopped. She shook her head. "I'm all right," she said. "You're not," he replied. Still standing. "Barely." He tore a strip from his shirt and handed it to her. She pressed it to herself and nodded once. The baby slept through it all, mouth open, trusting. Eliza stared at his face, memorizing every line. "They meant it," she said. "I know. They always mean it. I won't." She looked at Jonah. "You can't fight them alone." "I'm not alone." The words surprised them both. The house groaned as if agreeing. Eliza leaned back against the bed, eyes closing for a second. When she opened them, the portrait seemed less sure. She almost laughed. "If they come back," she said, "they won't knock." Jonah nodded. "We won't wait." Silence settled again, thinner this time. Outside, night insects started up. Eliza shifted, finding a way to sit that hurt less. Jonah stayed close. Neither slept. When the dark finally thinned and the first gray light slid across the floor, Eliza whispered, "It's morning." Jonah answered, "I know." Neither of them moved as the house breathed, waiting, holding its secrets a little longer in the pale light. The fire was already low when night finished settling into the house. No one announced it. It simply arrived, quiet and heavy. Eliza sat on the floor with her back against the hearth, the baby pressed to her chest. He latched weakly, then stronger, pulling milk as if he understood the cost of every breath she took. She hissed once through her teeth, then steadied herself. Jonah sat across from her, knees drawn up, elbows resting on them, watching the fire and nothing else. "He's hungry," Jonah said. "He's alive," Eliza answered. Jonah nodded. The fire popped. Sparks jumped, then died. The baby suckled, small fingers curling against Eliza's skin. "What do we call him?" Jonah asked. Eliza did not answer right away. She watched the fire like it might offer a name back. "Something they can't steal," she said. Jonah let out a breath. "They steal everything." "Not everything," she said. "They took my name once," Jonah said. "They tried," Eliza replied. Silence stretched, but it was softer now. The baby fed, paused, fed again. Jonah spoke in pieces, like he always had when he was tired. "They came at night." "I know. No witnesses. I scrubbed the floor after." Jonah looked at her. "You shouldn't have." "They told me to." He nodded. The fire crackled. Shadows climbed the walls, bending the faces in the portraits until they looked uneasy. "They said I burned a barn," Jonah said. "You didn't." "They said I threatened the sheriff." "He threatened you first." Jonah rubbed his hands together. They needed a story. Eliza shifted the baby. "They always do." The baby pulled free and cried once, sharp and small. Eliza winced and rocked him. "Easy," she murmured. "Easy." Jonah leaned forward. "I can take him." Eliza shook her head. "Not yet." He leaned back. "I didn't come back gentle," he said. "I know. I came back angry." Eliza met his eyes. "I came back breathing." He looked away. The fire snapped louder. The house answered with a groan deep in its frame. "You hear that?" Jonah said. "It's an old house," Eliza said. "It remembers." He glanced toward the hallway. "It don't like us." "It never did." The baby quieted again, eyes fluttering. Eliza whispered, "My mother used to sing here." Jonah frowned. "Here? By this fire?" "I didn't know." "No one asked." Jonah swallowed. They told me she left. Eliza's jaw tightened. They told me lies. The firelight caught tears on her cheeks before she could wipe them. Jonah stood halfway, then stopped. I'm sorry. She nodded once. So am I. He sat back down. I came back to burn it all, he said. The words fell heavy, honest. Eliza did not flinch. I came back to live, she said. The fire popped hard, sending sparks upward. For a moment the room filled with light, then settled again. Jonah watched the sparks fade. You afraid of me? He asked. Eliza shook her head. I'm afraid of staying quiet. He nodded. Me too. The baby slept now, milk dribbling from his mouth. Eliza adjusted him gently. Jonah leaned closer, careful. He needs a name, he said again. Eliza looked at the fire, then at the baby, then at Jonah. We'll give him one they can't wash off, she said. Jonah smiled, small and real. The house creaked. The fire burned lower. Outside, the night pressed close, listening, as the three of them sat together, naming the future without speaking it yet. Morning bled in without warning. No clean edge. Just gray light leaking through tall windows and settling on the floor where blood had dried dark. Eliza was awake already. She had not slept. The baby stirred against her chest, warm and heavy. Jonah stood by the table, watching the door like it might speak first. It did. Knuckles tapped once. Soft. Careful. The kind of knock meant to sound reasonable. Jonah did not move. Eliza said, "Come in." The sheriff entered alone. Hat off. Coat clean. Papers folded neat in his hand. His eyes went straight to the baby, then to Jonah, then back to Eliza. "Morning," he said. "It is," Eliza replied. He stepped closer, stopping where the firelight had died hours earlier. "I brought something," he said. He laid the papers on the table. Not a warrant. Not a notice. Something smoother. "Sign this," he said. Jonah glanced down. "What is it?" "An arrangement." Eliza looked up. "Or." The sheriff met her eyes. "Or accidents happen." The baby whimpered. Eliza rocked him once, slow. "No," she said. The sheriff sighed, like she had disappointed him. "You don't understand." "I understand fine," she said. "You want him. We want him safe." Eliza's mouth tightened. "You never cared about safe." The governor's wife appeared in the doorway then, quiet as breath. She did not step in. She only watched, hands folded, lips curved thin. "This can all be handled politely," she said. Jonah spoke without looking at her. "That word don't belong to you." The sheriff cleared his throat. "This isn't about old grudges." Jonah finally looked up. "It's about blood." The sheriff hesitated. Just a flicker. Jonah saw it. Eliza saw it. The baby kicked once, then settled. "That baby don't belong to you people," the sheriff said. Eliza stood as much as she could, pain flashing bright. "He belongs to me." The governor's wife tilted her head. "You work for us." Eliza held the baby tighter. "Not anymore." Silence stretched. The sheriff folded the papers again, slower this time. "You refuse," he said. Jonah nodded. "We do." The sheriff's voice dropped. 7 days. Eliza asked, "For what?" "For you to come to your senses." Jonah stepped forward just enough. "Neither does this land." The words landed hard. The governor's wife's smile slipped. "You don't own anything," she said. Jonah answered, "Not yet." The sheriff put his hat back on. "You're making this worse." Eliza said, "It's already been worse." He paused at the door. "Think on it," he said. "We will," Jonah replied. The door closed. The sound stayed behind like a bruise. Eliza sagged back down, breath shaking. Jonah knelt beside her. "You all right?" "I am," she said. "I will be." The governor's wife lingered a moment longer, eyes cold. "You'll regret this," she said. Eliza met her stare. "I already did." The woman left. The house felt emptier. Jonah picked up the papers and tore them clean in half. Then again. He dropped the pieces into the cold hearth. Eliza watched him. "They won't stop," she said. Jonah nodded. "Neither will we." The baby slept on, unaware. Outside, the town woke up. Doors opened. People watched. Power shifted, slow and quiet, like a threat that smiled before it bit. Jonah did not wait for the house to speak again. He opened the back door and stepped into the yard, Eliza following, the baby wrapped tight against her chest. The ground sloped toward the old well, stone ring cracked, boards half rotted across the opening. Eliza had scrubbed blood near it before. Jonah stopped beside the rim and looked down. The air felt cooler here. "They dumped bodies here," he said. Eliza did not ask which ones. "I cleaned their blood," she said. Jonah nodded once. "I drank that water," she added. Silence pressed in. The baby stirred. Eliza rocked him. Jonah crouched and touched the stone. "They told the town it was cursed," he said. "So no one would look." Eliza swallowed. "My mother worked this house," she said. She vanished. Jonah closed his eyes. "I know." Eliza stared at him. "You knew." "I suspected." "You didn't tell me." "I didn't want it true." The well hummed faintly, like a breath trapped below. Eliza leaned closer. "I hear her," she whispered. Jonah shook his head. "It ain't ghosts." "Then what?" "Memory," he said. "Guilt." Eliza laughed once, sharp. "That never scared them." Jonah stood. "It scares them now." He looked toward the house. They'd built power on forgetting. Eliza said, "I survived by remembering." The baby let out a small cry. Jonah turned back. "They expect us to run." Eliza said, "We won't." "They expect us to beg." "We won't." Jonah met her eyes. "Then we change the rules." Eliza nodded. Pain flared, but she stayed upright. "How?" Jonah glanced at the town beyond the trees. "We make them say it out loud." Eliza pressed her forehead to the baby's head. "My mother never got a grave." Jonah said, "She will." Wind moved across the yard. The well stayed still. Eliza stepped back from it. "Seal it," she said. "Not yet," Jonah replied. "It needs to be seen." Eliza hesitated, then nodded. The baby quieted. Jonah took Eliza's free hand, steady, solid. "This land remembers everything," he said. Eliza squeezed his hand. "Then let it remember us." They stood there longer than needed. Eliza's legs shook, but she did not sit. Jonah watched the house again, measuring it. "They think fear lives here," he said. "It does," Eliza answered. "But so do we." The baby shifted and sighed. Jonah smiled faintly. "Your mother was brave," he said. Eliza's throat tightened. She was tired. Both can be true. Eliza looked at the well one last time. I cleaned their mess, she said. I won't anymore. Jonah nodded. Good. He took the boards and set them back across the stone, not ceiling, just marking. Let them see what they tried to hide. Eliza watched him work. Each movement was careful, deliberate. You think they'll listen? Jonah replied, they'll hear. Eliza turned toward the house. I spent years lowering my voice. Jonah followed. Not again. The baby whimpered. Eliza whispered, we're changing things. The house loomed ahead, windows dark, waiting. Eliza crossed the yard with Jonah beside her. The well stayed behind, open, patient. The land held their footsteps, counting. Eliza paused at the door, breath steadying. Jonah waited without rushing her. If we go back in, she said, they'll come harder. Jonah answered, I know. You still want this. More than before. Eliza nodded. She adjusted the baby higher. Then we don't look away. Jonah opened the door. Warm air and old dust met them. The house felt different, like it had heard the well speak. Eliza stepped inside first. Jonah followed. Behind them, the yard went quiet, holding the truth where it belonged. The baby slept through the threshold. Eliza felt the ache return, sharp but earned. Jonah closed the door gently. Outside, the well waited. Inside, the rules had already begun to shift. Neither of them spoke. They did not need to. The land had heard enough for one day. And somewhere beneath the stone, memory stayed awake, waiting for what would follow. It would not be silent again. Not now. Not ever. Not here. Any more at all. Again. Evening did not announce itself. It slid in while they were still standing in the yard, as if the day had simply run out of breath. Jonah lifted the baby and held him close, not awkward now, just careful. Eliza walked beside him toward town, steps slow, spine straight, pain kept quiet behind her eyes. People noticed. They always did. Heads turned. Voices dropped. Someone muttered Jonah's name like it might bite them back. Put him down, a man said from a porch. Jonah kept walking. No. A woman whispered, that's Eliza. Another voice answered, I thought she worked up there. Eliza did not look at them. She kept her eyes forward. The courthouse sat at the end of the street, plain and square, built to look fair even when it wasn't. Jonah pushed the door open with his shoulder. It creaked loud enough to hush the room inside. The clerk looked up, startled. What is this? Jonah said, we want a license. The clerk blinked. For what? Eliza stepped forward. Marriage. The word landed wrong. Chairs scraped. Someone laughed and stopped when no one joined in. The sheriff stood from a bench near the wall. His face tightened. This isn't funny, he said. It ain't meant to be, Jonah replied. The clerk looked between them. You can't. Eliza met her eyes. Why? The clerk swallowed. There are procedures. Jonah said, follow one. The sheriff moved closer. You're pushing things. Eliza turned to him. I've been pushed my whole life. You don't understand the trouble you're making, he said. Eliza's voice stayed steady. I understand exactly. The baby stirred. Jonah adjusted his hold, gentle, sure. A murmur moved through the room. The clerk's hands shook. He's an outlaw, the sheriff said. Jonah said, I'm a father. That child don't make this right, the sheriff snapped. Eliza stepped closer to the desk, close enough the clerk could smell milk and smoke on her clothes. He's my husband, she said. This is our child. Say it or don't. But write it. Silence fell. Heavy. Expectant. The clerk looked at the line where a name would go. She picked up the pen, then hesitated. You don't want this, the sheriff warned. The clerk's jaw set. She wrote. Ink scratched paper. Jonah exhaled. Eliza's shoulders dropped just a fraction. The sheriff stared at the page like it had insulted him. You'll regret this. Eliza said, We already paid. The clerk slid the paper across. Jonah signed without flourish. Eliza signed slower, careful with each letter, as if claiming herself back one stroke at a time. Outside, the light had thinned. Jonah stepped into it first, Eliza beside him. The door closed behind them. Town sounds returned, louder now. Someone spat. Someone else nodded. Jonah leaned down and kissed Eliza's forehead. Not rushed. Not proud. Just there. I choose you, he said. She closed her eyes. I already did. They stood together, the baby sleeping between them, paper folded in Jonah's pocket. The courthouse loomed behind, smaller than before. The sheriff watched from the doorway, hands empty, face pale. Eliza took a breath she did not know she had been holding. Her legs shook. Jonah noticed and shifted closer. You all right? He asked. I am, she said. I am now. They walked back the way they came. People moved aside. No one stopped them. The house waited on the hill, dark against the sky, no longer alone in its power. Eliza felt it watching. She did not look away. When they reached the yard, Jonah paused. This changes things, he said. Eliza nodded. That's why we said it. The baby sighed in his sleep. Eliza touched his cheek. They can hear us now, she said. Jonah looked toward town, then back at her. Let them. They went inside together. The door closed. The night gathered itself around the house, uneasy, listening, aware that something had been spoken aloud that could not be taken back. Night broke without warning. Not quiet. Not gentle. A crash of glass came first, sharp and sudden, followed by shouting outside the house. Jonah was already moving when Eliza heard the baby cry. He grabbed her arm once, firm. Stay back, he said. No, she answered. Hide, he said. She turned and ran toward the back room, heart pounding, the baby pressed hard against her chest. Firelight flickered through the windows. Shadows jumped along the walls like they were alive. Men shouted orders outside. Boots hit wood. Someone laughed. Someone cursed. A torch flared bright against the glass. Eliza dropped to her knees behind the bed and covered the baby with her body. He screamed. Loud. Unafraid. Get down, Jonah yelled from the front room. A gunshot cracked the air. Eliza flinched but did not scream. Don't let them take him, she whispered into the baby's hair. Smoke crept under the door, bitter and thick. Jonah fired back once. Then again. Wood splintered. Glass shattered. Heat rushed in fast. Eliza's eyes burned. She rocked the baby hard, whispering his name again and again like it could shield him. Outside, a man shouted, "Burn it!" Another voice answered, "Orders." Flames climbed the curtains. The portraits fell one by one, faces shattering on the floor. Jonah slammed the door shut and leaned against it. Blood ran down his side, dark and fast. Eliza saw it and froze. "You're hit," she said. "It's nothing," he said. "Lie," she answered. He smiled once, tight. "Not tonight." Another gunshot. The door buckled. Jonah braced himself. "Run," he said. Eliza shook her head. I won't. You have to. I won't, she repeated. The door burst inward. Smoke poured in. Men rushed forward, faces covered, eyes bright with firelight. Jonah fired again. One man fell. Another hesitated. In that moment, the sheriff stepped into the doorway. No mask. No torch. Just the badge catching the firelight. He took it all in. The baby screaming. Jonah bleeding. Eliza standing tall. Enough, the sheriff said. One of the men shouted, we were told. The sheriff raised his hand. I said enough. His eyes flicked toward the yard, toward the well hidden in the dark. He swallowed. His voice dropped. Go. The men backed away, unsure. Flames licked the doorframe. Someone dropped a torch. It rolled across the floor and burned out. They retreated fast, boots pounding away, curses trailing behind them. The fire slowed, contained, angry but not winning. The house stood scarred but breathing. Jonah sagged against the wall. Eliza rushed to him, ignoring the pain tearing through her. Sit, she said. Now. He slid down, teeth clenched. You scared me, she said. Good, he answered. Means I'm alive. The baby quieted at last, worn out, trusting. Smoke drifted upward and out through broken windows. Outside, the land fell still. Too still. Eliza pressed her forehead to Jonah's. They tried, she said. They did, he answered. And they failed. Sirens did not come. Help did not come. But the night held them anyway, thick and watchful. As dawn crept closer, the fire died down to embers. The house stood wounded, blackened, but standing. Eliza sat beside Jonah, the baby asleep between them. The sheriff did not return. He did not have to. The land had already decided. Somewhere in the dark, something old loosened its grip. The house exhaled. And for the first time, the silence did not feel owned by fear. Smoke hung low over the yard, thin and gray, like it did not know where to go next. Eliza stepped outside first, the baby bundled tight, her body sore but steady. Jonah followed slower, one hand pressed to his side. Blood had soaked through the cloth she tied there, but it had stopped running. He was pale. He was standing. That mattered. You should sit, she said. I am, he answered, lowering himself onto the porch step with a grunt. The house creaked behind them. Black marks scarred the doorframe. Windows gaped where glass had blown out. The portraits inside were ruined now. Faces gone. Just frames and ash. Eliza looked down at Jonah. Still want this? He met her eyes. More than ever. She nodded and sat beside him, close enough that their shoulders touched. The baby slept through it all, mouth open, chest rising and falling, calm in a way that felt earned. Town sounds carried faintly on the wind. Doors opening. Voices low. People seeing what had happened without being told. No one came running. No one asked questions. Not yet. They'll spin it, Eliza said. They always do, Jonah replied. But not the same way, she said. He looked toward the road. Something broke last night. Yes, Eliza said. Them. Morning light crept across the yard. It touched the well in the distance, then the porch, then the bloodstains that had soaked into the boards long before this night. Jonah watched it like a clock he trusted. The sheriff arrived just after sunrise. No siren. No show. He stood at the edge of the yard, hat in his hands, ice-tired. He did not cross the fence. You alive, he said. Jonah answered, looks like it. The sheriff nodded once. He glanced at the house, the broken windows, the scorch marks. "I'm done," he said. Eliza did not speak. "I turned in my badge this morning," he added. "It's on the desk." Jonah studied him. "That don't fix everything." "No," the sheriff said. "But it stops me pretending." He looked at Eliza. "You should have been told." She held his gaze. "I should have been listened to." He swallowed. "I know." The sheriff left the way he came. No threat. No apology that would stick. Just gone. By noon, the governor's wife packed her car. She did not come up the hill. She did not look back. The house no longer belonged to her, even if the papers said it did. Eliza stood in the yard and watched dust settle behind the car. She felt something loosen in her chest. Not relief. Space. "They don't own me," she said. Jonah smiled faintly. "They never did." They buried the past that afternoon. Not in secret. Not rushed. Jonah marked the ground near the well. Eliza stood beside him, the baby on her hip, as names were spoken out loud for the first time. Her mother's name. Others. People who had cleaned, cooked, carried, and vanished. "No more unmarked," Eliza said. Jonah pressed the shovel into the dirt. No more. When it was done, they stood quietly. The land felt heavier, but cleaner. Like something had been set right, even if it hurt. Back at the house, Eliza washed her hands at the sink. The water ran clear. She stared at it for a long time. "I used to think survival was enough," she said. Jonah leaned against the counter. "And now?" "Now I want memory," she said. "I want names." "You have them," he said. She turned and looked at him, really looked. "You stayed." He nodded. "So did you." That evening, Eliza stood in the doorway with the baby asleep against her shoulder. The house was quiet, but it was a different quiet now. Not owned. Not threatening. "What survives the fire?" she asked softly. Jonah joined her. "Us." She smiled, tired and real. "Good." The sun dipped low. Shadows stretched long across the yard. The house stood scarred but standing. Eliza did not feel small inside it anymore. She felt present. And that, she realized, was the beginning of everything that would come next. The yard was quiet when they gathered, quiet in a way that felt earned. Not empty. Just still. Eliza stood near the old oak with the baby in her arms, his weight familiar now, steady. Jonah faced her, boots clean for once, shirt mended where it had torn. There was no preacher. No raised voice. Just people who had watched and remembered. "You ready?" Jonah asked. Eliza nodded. "I am." A neighbor stepped forward, a woman who had never spoken to Eliza before last week. "We're here," she said. "That's enough." Jonah took Eliza's hands. They were rough. Warm. Real. The baby slept through it all, breathing slow, trusting. "I choose you," Jonah said. No pause. No flourish. Eliza swallowed. Her voice held. "I already did." That was it. No cheers. No clapping. Just a breath passing through the group like relief. Someone wiped their eyes. Someone else nodded once and looked away. The land seemed to lean in, listening. They stood together a moment longer than needed. Jonah brushed his thumb over Eliza's knuckles. "We did it," he said. "We said it," she corrected. "That matters." The house loomed behind them, windows patched, scars visible. It looked older now. Smaller. Like it had lost the right to intimidate. Later, when people drifted off and the yard emptied, Jonah carried the baby inside. Eliza followed slowly, every step a reminder of what her body had survived. The door closed behind them with a soft click. No weight to it anymore. They sealed the well that afternoon. Not hurried. Not hidden. Jonah laid the boards straight and tight. Eliza handed him nails, each one placed with care. The sound echoed, sharp and final. "That's enough," she said when it was done. Jonah wiped his hands. "It's done." They stood there a moment. The well was quiet now. Not erased. Just closed. A truth acknowledged and set in its place. Inside, the house held its breath. Eliza walked room to room, touching walls she had cleaned 1,000 times. The portraits were gone. Just pale marks where they had hung. She liked it better that way. The baby woke and fussed. Eliza lifted him and rocked gently. "You won't grow up quiet," she whispered. "I promise." Jonah watched her from the doorway. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "I am now." That evening, Eliza sat in the same doorway where fear had rooted her days ago. The light slanted in soft and gold. The baby slept against her chest. Jonah sat beside her, close but not crowding. "Think the land forgets?" Jonah asked. Eliza shook her head. "No. Think it forgives." She thought about the well. The fire. Her mother's name spoken aloud. "I think it remembers," she said. "And then it lets go." They sat without speaking for a while. Crickets started up. Somewhere far off, a door shut. Life moving on, not rushing. Jonah broke the silence. "We'll have trouble." Eliza smiled faintly. "We already did." He laughed once, quiet. "Fair." The house behind them felt different now. Not a cage. Just wood and memory. Eliza rested her head back and closed her eyes. She could still feel pain, still feel loss, but it no longer owned her. "I used to think this place swallowed people," she said. "And now?" Jonah asked. "And now I think it just remembers who stands up in it." The baby shifted and sighed. Eliza smiled down at him. "You hear that?" she whispered. "That's peace." Jonah leaned back and looked out over the land. Fields stretching. Trees breathing. Ground holding. The land did not forget. It never would. But it had seen them. It had heard them. And that was enough. Eliza rocked gently, the same motion she had begun in fear days ago. Now it was steady. Chosen. Jonah stayed beside her. The house stayed quiet. And for the first time, the silence felt like rest.